Do one thing, The Simplicity Secret of Superproducers. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. The world is drowning in options and starving for focus. Every ping, post, and priority screams for your attention. Complexity has become a badge of honor, juggling 10 projects, sprinting between calls, burning through task lists. Yet despite all the motion, momentum slips through the cracks. We're doing more than ever, but moving less. There's a reason the most successful people you admire aren't the busiest. They're the clearest. They don't chase everything, they choose one thing, and chase it like it's oxygen. Superproducers aren't fueled by chaos. They're powered by clarity. In a world obsessed with doing it all, their results come from doing one thing deeply. No secret sauce. No life hacks. Just brutal simplicity practiced with uncommon discipline. Simplicity isn't passive, it's war against distraction. And the battlefield is your attention. As Greg McKeown, author of Essentialism, put it, if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. This book is not about doing less for the sake of laziness. It's about doing less to achieve more on purpose. It's about eliminating the noise so the signal of your greatest work can finally be heard. Each chapter is a blade, designed to cut through the clutter that dulls your days. You'll find stories, strategies, and simple shifts that help you refocus, rewire, and reclaim your time. Not through overwhelm. Through simplicity. So if you're ready to stop scattering your energy, and start compounding it, there's only one thing left to do. Choose your one thing. And do it like it's the only thing that matters. Because it is. Chapter 1. The Illusion of More. There's a quiet addiction spreading in modern life, disguised as ambition. It whispers that more is better, more meetings, more goals, more platforms, more hustle. We chase it like a mirage, believing if we can just juggle everything fast enough, success will catch up. But it doesn't. It never does. Instead, our days bleed into one another, filled with half-finished tasks and shallow victories. We confuse busyness for progress and volume for value. Our calendars look full, but our impact feels hollow. This is the illusion of more. On the surface, it's persuasive. After all, isn't more effort supposed to lead to more results? But dig deeper, and a dangerous truth emerges. When everything is important, nothing is. The human brain wasn't designed to operate like a browser with 37 open tabs. It was built to go deep, not wide. Superproducers know this. They don't outwork everyone, they outfocus them. Look at any high achiever, and you'll notice a pattern. They cut ruthlessly. Not because they lack ambition, but because they understand the cost of fragmentation. The writer who turns off the internet and disappears into the page. The CEO who obsesses over one core metric. The coach who drills the same play until it's muscle memory. Their advantage isn't access, it's elimination. They aren't seduced by the illusion of more. They're driven by the power of less. This is where the transformation begins, not with adding, but subtracting. Not with sprinting faster, but choosing the right race. Complexity offers the comfort of distraction. Simplicity demands the discomfort of clarity. And clarity is confronting. It forces you to ask hard questions. What am I really trying to build? What actually moves the needle? What have I said yes to that should have been a no? These questions are uncomfortable for a reason. They strip away the stories we tell ourselves about productivity and reveal the truth underneath. We're not overwhelmed because we have too much to do, we're overwhelmed because we haven't decided what matters most. Deciding is the first act of power. It's the moment you stop reacting to life and start directing it. That's the threshold superproducers cross. They stop scattering energy across shallow tasks and start investing it in the deep work that delivers real results. They don't just simplify their calendar, they sharpen their aim. More meetings don't equal more impact. More tasks don't create more traction. More motion doesn't guarantee momentum. In fact, the opposite is often true. The more we do, the less we finish. The more we chase, the less we catch. This is the trap of modern ambition. And it's not just inefficient, it's exhausting. Our minds grow cluttered. Our creativity dulls. Our confidence erodes under the weight of everything unfinished. But once you see the illusion for what it is, you're free to escape it. And the way out isn't grand or complicated. It starts with one clear thing. One task that matters. One project worth protecting. One problem worth solving. One decision to stop spinning and start building. And then doing it, not partially, not distractedly, but fully. Deeply. Until it's done. This is the first step toward mastery. Not doing more. Doing less better. Busyness is not the same as progress. Superproducers win by focusing, not by doing more. The path to clarity begins with subtraction, not addition. Where in your life are you mistaking motion for momentum? Identify one task on your to-do list today that doesn't matter, and delete it without apology. Chapter 2: The Power of One. There's a law in physics called the principle of concentrated force. A river spreads wide and flows calmly. But narrow it, and it becomes a torrent, cutting through rock, reshaping landscapes. Focus compresses power. What's true in nature is just as true in life. Most people dabble. They try a little of this, a little of that, spread across apps, ideas, opportunities. But the highest performers? They concentrate. They choose one thing that matters and pour their energy into it like a laser, not a floodlight. This is the power of one. It sounds simple. It is. But simplicity is not weakness, it's strength in disguise. Consider an archer. The skill is not in drawing the bow, but in aiming at a single target. Superproducers live by the same principle. They aren't seduced by potential distractions. They're anchored by clear intention. The moment you point all your energy in one direction, momentum shifts. The scattered fog of multitasking begins to clear. What once felt complicated suddenly becomes obvious. Success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right thing, over and over. Look at any major breakthrough. A scientist who devotes years to a single question. A filmmaker obsessed with one story. A founder solving one painful problem better than anyone else. What looks like genius from a distance is usually just disciplined focus up close. The world loves to romanticize the grind, the hustle, the infinite juggling act. But what actually moves the needle is singularity. One core pursuit. One measure of progress. One true north. The power of one isn't just about productivity. It's about identity. It clarifies who you are and what you're here to do. Without that clarity, we drift. We say yes to too much, dilute our talent, and wonder why our results feel so small. But once you commit to one thing, the rest begins to align. Priorities sharpen. Time reorganizes itself. Energy flows where decision has already been made. You stop asking, "What should I do next?" and start knowing. There's a quiet confidence that follows. And there's also friction, because the world resists simplicity. It will tempt you with side quests, with shiny options, with new paths disguised as progress. But distraction is often just disguised doubt. Staying focused feels risky because it requires faith, faith that depth beats breadth, that simplicity is enough, that one thing can be everything for now. But it can. And it must. Until that one thing is finished, nothing else truly matters. The myth is that you'll miss out by focusing. The truth is that you'll miss everything by not focusing. This isn't about being one-dimensional forever. It's about sequencing wisely. It's about giving your attention the dignity of depth. When you master one thing, you build leverage. And leverage multiplies impact. There's a reason bridges are built one beam at a time. You don't build 12 halfway and hope one reaches the other side. You finish one. Then you start the next. That's how legacies are built. One thing. Fully. Fiercely. Until it's done. Then, only then, you move to the next. Focus creates momentum by compressing your power. Superproducers aim at one target, not many. The world pulls you wide. Progress pulls you deep. What's the one thing you've been avoiding that would change everything if you finished it? Block 1 hour this week to work on your most important goal, alone, uninterrupted, and without switching tasks. Chapter 3: Focus is a fight. Focus isn't found. It's fought for. In a world engineered to fracture your attention, clarity is no accident. Every time you try to go deep, something shallow will call your name. Notifications blink. Emails stack. New ideas tap on your shoulder like spoiled children, demanding your energy. And without a defense, your best intentions dissolve into distraction. This is the battleground of modern work, not willpower, but warfare. Attention is the prize. And if you don't protect it, someone else will claim it. Superproducers understand this. They don't rely on mood or motivation. They design systems that protect their focus like bodyguards around a crown jewel. Because they know the truth, great work doesn't come from doing more things. It comes from defending the space to do the right thing deeply. Distraction is not just an inconvenience, it's a tax on excellence. A study from the University of California, Irvine found that it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully refocus after an interruption. Multiply that by a dozen pings a day, and you don't lose hours. You lose your edge. Focus, then, becomes an act of rebellion. In a world that rewards urgency, you choose importance. In a culture addicted to reaction, you choose intention. But don't mistake this for ease. Focus hurts. It requires saying no to things that are good in service of things that are essential. It means turning down meetings, ignoring inboxes, disappointing expectations. Simplicity has a cost, and that cost is comfort. The enemy isn't just your phone or your feed. It's your fear of missing out. It's the anxiety that silence brings. It's the discomfort of sitting still long enough for clarity to speak. To go deep, you must get ruthless. Ruthless about your environment. Where you work matters. What's within reach matters. A cluttered desk is a cluttered mind. A phone within arm's reach is a decision already made. Ruthless about your schedule. Time is not something you find, it's something you fight to protect. Superproducers don't fit in deep work. They carve out sacred time for it, and they guard it like oxygen. An unprotected calendar is a breeding ground for mediocrity. Ruthless about your energy. Not all hours are equal. Your best thinking belongs to your highest priorities. Don't waste your sharpest hours on shallow tasks. Defend your peak energy like it's your last resource, because for that day it is. Focus doesn't happen when you sit down to work. It happens when you decide what to exclude before the work begins. Because real focus is subtractive. Every yes is a no to something else. Every open tab is a vote against the one thing that matters. Every distraction tolerated is permission granted to stay average. But when you do protect your focus, when you build walls around your genius, the results are unmistakable. Ideas sharpen. Work compounds. Progress accelerates. What took weeks now takes days. What felt scattered becomes structured. Your time begins to echo with value. And something else happens too. You begin to trust yourself again. The noise fades. The signal returns. And in that quiet clarity, something powerful rises, momentum. But momentum is fragile. One notification can break it. One meeting can crush it. So protect it. Fight for it. And when you lose it, and you will, return to the fight. Again and again. Focus isn't a gift. It's a discipline. A daily decision. A battle worth showing up for. Because on the other side of that battle, your best work is waiting. Focus is fragile, and always under attack. Superproducers protect their time, space, and energy like assets. Clarity comes not from trying harder, but from removing more. What boundary do you need to set this week to protect your deepest work? Choose 1 hour this week to silence all notifications, close every tab, and work on one task, with nothing else allowed. Chapter 4. The enemy is everywhere. Distraction doesn't knock anymore. It walks right in. It wears a dozen disguises, some obvious, some flattering. A calendar full of meetings. A to-do list 50 lines deep. The constant buzz of messages, updates, alerts. We call it being busy. But it's not. It's just being buried. The enemy of focus isn't laziness. It's the illusion of productivity. And it's everywhere. It hides in inboxes, where urgency pretends to be importance. It lurks in endless planning, where preparation masquerades as progress. It thrives in multitasking, where our minds split like light through a prism, diffused, scattered, and dim. Superproducers don't have fewer distractions. They just refuse to worship them. They see the game for what it is, attention theft. Modern systems aren't neutral, they're designed to capture you. Algorithms don't reward depth. Platforms don't praise patience. Our digital environment is engineered for impulse, not intention. Every app is a slot machine. Every scroll a silent agreement to stay shallow. And it's not just screens. The enemy hides in boardrooms too. Unnecessary meetings. Recurring check-ins. Collaborative chaos where decision-making dies by consensus. Work that feels like work but creates no movement. Even helpful things can become hindrances. Over-researching. Tinkering. Perfecting. All seductive forms of delay dressed up as diligence. The real threat isn't that we do nothing. It's that we do almost everything, except the one thing that actually matters. That's how potential dies, not from inactivity, but from dilution. So what's the solution? Discernment. Superproducers develop an internal compass. They learn to distinguish noise from signal, motion from progress, distraction from depth. They aren't anti-technology. They aren't anti-collaboration. But they are violently pro-focus. They audit everything. Every meeting must justify its existence. Every tool must earn its place. Every task must prove its weight. They don't add systems. They delete them. Because every extra step is a chance to veer off course. One unnecessary, yes, can derail an entire day. One poorly timed, sure, can fracture your deepest hour. The enemy doesn't need to be loud to win, it just needs to be constant. And it is. So simplicity becomes a shield. Not because it's trendy, but because it's necessary. Simplicity is how you survive the modern workday with your mind and mission intact. The enemy will always multiply. Your job is to subtract. Strip back. Clear out. Burn away the non-essential until only the vital remains. This isn't minimalism for aesthetics. It's minimalism for momentum. Every layer of complexity removed is a layer of clarity regained. When you start eliminating the enemy, meetings, messages, mindless activity, you begin to see something profound underneath. Time. Not scattered minutes, but true, focused time. And with time comes possibility. With possibility comes leverage. With leverage comes freedom. But freedom isn't handed to you. It's carved. Cut through the noise. Sharpen your days. Defend your direction. Because the enemy is everywhere, and it will never stop coming. But you don't have to let it in. Distractions often look like productivity but create no progress. Superproducers audit everything: meetings, tasks, tools, and time. Simplicity is not a style choice, it's survival in a world of noise. What distraction in your life pretends to be productive, but is actually stealing your focus? Cancel or decline one recurring meeting or task this week that adds complexity without real value. Chapter 5: Do Less, Win More. We've been taught that success is a volume game. That to win, you must outwork, out-hustle, outdo everyone around you. More hours. More effort. More everything. But what if the opposite were true? What if winning wasn't about doing more, but doing less better? It's a quiet truth most never discover. The most powerful results come from the fewest actions. Superproducers aren't superhuman. They've just stopped trying to do everything. They've embraced the paradox that fewer moves, executed with precision, beat a flurry of scattered effort. They don't work more, they work sharper. Look at the sculptor. Their brilliance isn't in adding clay, but in carving it away. With each cut, the masterpiece emerges. The same principle applies to life and work. Excellence is not additive, it's subtractive. It's not about piling on goals. It's about stripping down to the vital few. In 2001, Steve Jobs returned to a struggling Apple and made one of the boldest decisions in business history. He cut 70% of the company's product line. He focused the entire organization on just a few core products. The result? A trillion-dollar empire built on simplicity. Jobs didn't bet on more, he bet on less done right. The same logic applies to individuals. The people achieving outsized success aren't doing more things. They're just doing the right things, with more intensity, more consistency, and more care. They narrow the battlefield so they can win decisively. But doing less isn't easy. It forces clarity. And clarity demands courage. It's easy to hide behind a dozen tasks. It's hard to choose just one, and commit. Because then there's nowhere to run. Then the results are tied directly to your focus. But this is exactly why the strategy works. It creates accountability. It exposes what matters. It forces movement. Doing less isn't a lack of ambition. It's a higher form of it. The average performer says yes to everything and wonders why nothing moves. The high performer says yes to almost nothing, and watches one thing move mountains. This is the 80-20 rule in action. A small percentage of your efforts will drive the majority of your results. Your job is to find those few, and double down. Ruthlessly. You don't need 10 priorities. You need one. The right one. And then you need to protect it with everything you have. Think of it like a magnifying glass. Alone, sunlight is warm. But when concentrated through a lens, it can ignite fire. That's the power of narrowing your energy. You stop warming up everything, and start setting fire to what matters. Doing less is how you regain control. It's how you move from reacting to creating. It's how you stop being buried in work, and start building something with it. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. Stillness always does. Focus feels narrow, even boring. But that's where mastery lives, in the repetition, the refinement, the deliberate pursuit of better. The world will tell you to keep adding. This book will keep reminding you to subtract. Because the truth is, you're already doing enough things. Now it's time to do the right thing, and do it like it's the only thing that matters. Because when you do less, you create space for more impact, more depth, and more freedom. And that's how you win. Doing less isn't laziness, it's intelligent prioritization. Superproducers win by going deep on fewer things. Focused execution beats scattered effort every time. What's one area in your life where doing less would actually lead to better results? Choose one active project or responsibility to pause, cancel, or delegate this week, so you can double down on what matters most. Chapter 6: Deep Work, Real Results. There is a kind of work that doesn't just fill time, it transforms it. It doesn't scatter energy, it concentrates it. It doesn't leave you drained, it leaves you changed. This is deep work, the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. And in a world addicted to the shallow, it's becoming a lost art. But deep work isn't optional for high performance. It's essential. Superproducers don't rely on hacks or heroic effort. They build their days around this one discipline. Because they know what the distracted don't. Real results don't come from being busy, they come from going deep. When you work deeply, you enter a state of absorption. Time bends. Noise fades. Hours pass, and what's left behind isn't just checked boxes, it's value. Tangible, trackable, momentum-building value. A finished chapter. A closed deal. A solved problem. Deep work moves the needle because it demands your full presence. Compare that to the typical workday. Slack messages chirp. Emails ping. Notifications flare. Your body's at the desk, but your mind is fractured across 5 conversations. You're working, but not really. You're typing, but not creating. You're present, but not producing. This is the curse of shallow work. It feels like effort, but yields almost nothing. Deep work flips that equation. It requires solitude. It thrives on structure. And it's always uncomfortable at first, because going deep demands saying no to the world. No to interruptions. No to multitasking. No to convenience. It requires that you protect your attention like a sacred resource. Because it is. In the attention economy, your focus is currency. Spend it on the trivial, and you'll go broke. Invest it in depth, and the returns multiply. Cal Newport, in his book Deep Work, wrote, "The ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the same time it is becoming increasingly valuable." That's not coincidence. That's contrast. In a world full of noise, clarity stands out. In a market flooded with average, depth becomes differentiation. This is why superproducers don't chase shallow wins. They pursue concentrated impact. They don't sprint between tasks, they lock in, shut out the world, and create from a place of singularity. Their breakthroughs come not from more hours, but from better ones. Deep work isn't just about doing harder things. It's about doing fewer things with greater attention. It's about choosing to go beneath the surface, where the gold is buried. And digging. Without distraction. Without applause. Just you, the work, and the quiet hum of purpose. But here's the secret: deep work is a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained. Start small. Block 1 hour. Eliminate every interruption. Set a clear goal. And go. It will feel strange. Your brain will rebel. You'll crave frictionless dopamine from easier tasks. But if you stay with it, something begins to shift. Your mind stretches. Your tolerance for stillness expands. Your ability to dive deep strengthens. And with it, so does your output. This is where superproducers live, not at the surface, but below it. Not in the fast, but in the focused. Because they understand that deep work is not just a way to get more done. It's a way to do what actually matters. And once you taste its results, shallow work will never satisfy again. Deep work produces results that shallow tasks never will. Focused attention is a competitive advantage in a distracted world. Superproducers build routines that prioritize depth over activity. What's one area of your life or work that deserves deep, undistracted focus, but rarely gets it? Schedule one 90-minute block this week for deep work. No notifications, no multitasking, no interruptions. Just you and your most meaningful task. Chapter 7. Saying no is a strategy. Every yes carries a silent cost. It's easy to forget this in a world that rewards the agreeable, applauds the overcommit, and glamorizes the hustle. We're taught that being available is being valuable. That opportunities should be seized. That doors should always be opened. But superproducers play a different game. They understand a truth most avoid: success is more about what you refuse than what you pursue. Saying no isn't a rejection of ambition. It's how ambition is protected. When you say yes to everything, you dilute your focus. Your time becomes a buffet, scattered in every direction, satisfying nothing deeply. But when you begin to say no, deliberately, unapologetically, you reclaim your power. You move from obligation to intention. You stop reacting to life and start shaping it. Superproducers don't fear being misunderstood. They don't explain every boundary or apologize for their priorities. They know that every no creates space for a better yes. Not just any yes, the right one. The world is full of good things. That's the problem. Most distractions don't come dressed as disasters. They come disguised as opportunities. A new project. A quick call. A favor. A meeting that sounds interesting. Each one whispers the same lie. This won't take long. But it always takes more than time. It takes attention. It takes energy. It takes a piece of your mind that could have been reserved for what truly matters. The ability to say no, then, becomes a strategic filter. Not a wall, but a gate. Not a dismissal, but a discernment tool. The question isn't, is this a good thing? It's, is this the right thing now? This isn't about being rude. It's about being clear. Politeness doesn't require sacrifice. Boundaries aren't unkind, they're necessary for doing deep work that lasts. Saying no can feel uncomfortable at first. It creates friction. People may not understand. Some will resist. But clarity always attracts criticism. And the moment you begin guarding your focus, you force others to confront their own lack of it. But the discomfort is temporary. The freedom it creates is lasting. Saying no isn't just about what you decline externally, it's also internal. Saying no to your own impulses. No to the urge to check your phone every 5 minutes. No to switching tasks just because you're bored. No to perfectionism that delays progress. No to the temptation of the urgent at the expense of the important. Every no is a yes in disguise. A yes to deeper work. A yes to focused days. A yes to meaningful progress. A yes to becoming the kind of person who doesn't just chase success, but builds it. This kind of clarity isn't accidental. It's cultivated. It's earned through reflection, boundaries, and the courage to disappoint others in service of your mission. If you want to master your time, you must master your no. If you want to multiply your results, you must divide your commitments. Because in the end, your impact won't be measured by how much you tried to do, it will be defined by what you actually finished. And finishing starts with choosing. Not 10 things. Just one. And protecting it fiercely. Every yes is a trade-off, often at the cost of your focus. Superproducers use no as a strategic filter, not a rejection. Boundaries protect your ability to do deep, meaningful work. Where in your life are you saying yes out of guilt, fear, or habit, and what would happen if you said no instead? This week, decline one request that doesn't align with your top priority, and do so clearly, without apology or delay. Chapter 8. Make it a ritual. Greatness doesn't come from occasional inspiration. It comes from consistent repetition. The most impactful work is rarely the result of heroic sprints, it's the product of quiet, daily rituals that compound over time. Superproducers understand this. They don't rely on motivation. They don't wait for the muse to strike. They design their days around rhythms that serve their priorities. Their brilliance is built in the boring. Their power lies in predictability. A ritual is more than a routine. It's a choice elevated to a system. It's the intentional repetition of behavior that reinforces identity. When done right, rituals remove decision fatigue. They eliminate friction. They turn your most important work into something inevitable. The novelist who writes every morning at the same desk, same time, same cup of coffee. The athlete who laces up their shoes and runs the same hill, rain or shine. The entrepreneur who opens the day with focused strategy instead of scattered email. These aren't just habits, they're anchors. Rituals do what discipline alone cannot. They make consistency automatic. But most people ignore this. They live reactively. They start their day by checking notifications, giving the world permission to set their agenda. Their most precious hours are spent responding, not creating. Their energy is scattered before it ever gets focused. Superproducers reverse that. They don't drift into their day, they enter it with intention. They know that every great performance has a warm-up. That deep work doesn't happen on accident, it's summoned. And the way you summon it is with a ritual that cues the brain, signals the body, and clears a runway for focus to take flight. Science backs this up. Research in behavioral psychology shows that habits formed in stable contexts become automatic faster. Translation: when you anchor your deep work to a specific environment, time, or trigger, your brain learns to shift into gear with less resistance. This is how momentum is built, through systems, not spurts. But rituals aren't just for the morning. They can be layered throughout your day. A wind-down ritual to disconnect. A planning ritual to review priorities. A reflection ritual to measure what matters. Each one is a signal. A cue. A turning point. And the more you honor them, the more powerful they become. The challenge, of course, is starting. Rituals require intention, not intensity. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Begin with one sacred block. One consistent place. One repeatable sequence that tells your brain, this is when we do the real work. Then protect it. Don't negotiate with it. Don't wait to feel ready. Just show up. At first, it might feel awkward. You may question whether it's working. That's normal. Rituals are investments. They pay off with time. The reward isn't in the ritual itself, it's in the momentum it unlocks. Over time, these small, quiet acts of repetition become a kind of muscle memory for your purpose. They transform chaos into clarity. They give shape to your day, and power to your focus. Super producers don't have more hours. They have more structure. And structure isn't confinement, it's liberation. Because when you know exactly when and how you'll do the work, there's nothing left to debate. Only to begin. And beginning every day is what builds greatness. Rituals make deep work automatic by anchoring it to consistent cues. Super producers use systems to eliminate decision fatigue and protect focus. Repetition creates momentum, and momentum creates results. What ritual could you create to consistently start your most important work with intention? Design a 10-minute startup ritual to begin your deep work block each day, same time, same place, same sequence. Then do it for the next 5 days. Chapter 9. Embrace the boring. Mastery is not glamorous. It's not loud or dazzling or dramatic. It's repetition. It's quiet. It's boring. And that's exactly why most people miss it. We live in a world allergic to boredom. The moment things feel slow or repetitive, we reach for stimulation. A new video, a new message, a new idea. Our brains have been trained to crave novelty, not depth. But novelty doesn't build anything. Depth does. Super producers are not seduced by excitement. They understand that greatness is forged in the unremarkable moments, the ones no one sees. The early mornings. The repeated drills. The unbroken stretches of focused effort that look like nothing from the outside but are everything from within. Think of a pianist practicing scales, again and again. A coder refining the same block of code. A craftsman sanding the same edge until it's smooth. This is where the edge is earned, in the monotony. Not in doing new things, but in doing the same thing with greater precision. The problem isn't that important work is hard. It's that it's dull before it becomes rewarding. That long before the breakthrough, there's boredom. Long before the praise, there's repetition. And most people quit here, not because they can't succeed, but because they can't stand the stillness that success demands. Boredom is the price of mastery. It's the toll gate on the road to excellence. But here's the paradox. What begins as boring becomes beautiful. What feels tedious becomes trusted. The more you engage with the same essential task, the more you see its nuance, its rhythm, its depth. The more your mind sharpens, your instincts refine, your flow increases. Repetition is not the enemy, it's the gateway. Super producers know that the work that matters most often doesn't feel thrilling. It feels narrow. It feels ordinary. But done consistently, it creates results that are anything but. When others pivot to something new, they return to the core. When others chase variety, they deepen their craft. While the world scatters its attention, they stay. And staying is their superpower. This doesn't mean they lack creativity. It means they channel it. They find new layers in old practices. They innovate inside the framework. They turn the mundane into momentum by refusing to flinch at monotony. There's a discipline to this, an emotional endurance. The ability to show up not just when it's exciting, but especially when it's not. The ability to trust the process when it feels dry. To continue when no one's watching. To refine what looks finished. And it's here, in the quiet repetitions, that real progress hides. If you want to do meaningful work, you must stop expecting it to feel magical. Not every session will sparkle. Not every result will amaze. But string together enough boring days, and the extraordinary shows up quietly, almost accidentally. The people doing remarkable things are often the ones willing to do the boring things longer than anyone else. So embrace it. Embrace the repetition. Embrace the routine. Embrace the boring. Because boring is not the opposite of brilliance. It's the soil it grows in. Mastery is built through repetition, not constant novelty. Super producers lean into boredom as a sign they're on the right path. Boredom is the testing ground of commitment, and the birthplace of breakthrough. What essential task in your life have you abandoned too quickly simply because it felt boring? Identify one core task you've been avoiding due to boredom, and commit to doing it daily for the next 5 days, no matter how it feels. Chapter 10. Momentum loves simplicity. Momentum isn't magic. It's motion, repeated, refined, and reinforced. It builds when action becomes effortless. It accelerates when friction disappears. And nothing removes friction like simplicity. Complexity kills progress. Every extra step, every added decision, every layer of confusion becomes a drag on your velocity. You start something with energy, then stall under the weight of unclear plans and too many priorities. The wheels spin, but you're stuck in place. Superproducers don't let this happen. They create environments where movement is natural, not forced. They simplify until what matters most is obvious, and what matters least is gone. Their systems aren't complicated. They're clean. Their workflows aren't bloated. They're brutal in their efficiency. Because they understand a powerful principle: momentum isn't about speed. It's about rhythm. Rhythm comes from repetition. From removing the question of what next? And replacing it with a clear, consistent answer. It's not glamorous. But it works. A predictable routine beats scattered sprints. A focused to-do beats an overloaded list. Simplicity gives your brain room to breathe, and your actions room to compound. The first few steps always feel uphill. That's gravity. That's resistance. But once you start to move, and keep moving, you generate kinetic clarity. Small wins stack. Tiny efforts build. You stop overthinking. You start executing. But here's the trick: momentum doesn't just come from action. It comes from eliminating distraction. Every unmade decision is a break. Every cluttered workspace is a slowdown. Every unnecessary task is a detour. Momentum loves simplicity because simplicity clears the road. It removes the static. It sharpens your path. The fewer decisions you have to make, the faster you move. Think of a cyclist. On a clean, open road, their energy propels them forward. But introduce debris, potholes, and constant turns, and the same energy achieves less. The terrain hasn't changed their potential, just their momentum. Simplicity smooths the terrain. This is why superproducers automate and eliminate. They build templates. They batch tasks. They reduce their toolset. They create focus not just with willpower, but with design. And that design creates flow. Flow doesn't happen when you're juggling. It happens when the next move is clear, the distractions are silenced, and your mind is fully engaged in the moment. Simplicity is what clears the doorway to that state. But maintaining momentum also requires trust. You have to believe that small, simple actions done consistently will lead to something significant. That not every day needs to feel epic for your work to be excellent. That progress can be quiet. That simplicity can be enough. Most people give up too soon, not because they failed, but because they complicated the path. They got bored. They got impatient. They added more when they should have doubled down on less. Momentum is fragile. Once lost, it takes effort to regain. But once earned, it works for you. It turns habits into accelerators. It turns repetition into results. So don't chase intensity. Chase clarity. Don't build faster. Build simpler. Because when the noise clears, and the way forward is unmistakable, motion becomes natural. And when motion becomes natural, progress becomes inevitable. Momentum doesn't need everything. It just needs the right thing, done simply, done consistently, done now. Simplicity fuels momentum by removing friction and decision fatigue. Superproducers design systems that create rhythmic, repeatable motion. Momentum is built through clarity, consistency, and elimination of distraction. What complexity in your current workflow is slowing your momentum, and what can you simplify to accelerate again? Eliminate or automate one recurring task this week that adds complexity without contributing to real movement. Chapter 11. Do one thing. Again. The secret was never hidden. It was just too simple to be believed. Do one thing. Do it deeply. Do it again. That's the quiet rhythm behind every superproducer, every master, every legacy maker. Not the chaotic chase of 100 pursuits, but the steady, deliberate return to what matters most. Over and over. While others chase variety, they choose consistency. While others get distracted by what's next, they remain loyal to what's essential. This isn't a moment of inspiration. It's a mindset. A way of moving through the world with clarity and conviction. Because success is not an event. It's a direction. And the direction is set by repetition. Each morning, the question returns, what is the one thing I can do today that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? Each morning, the choice is renewed. Not once, but daily. Not grand, but grounded. Simplicity, practiced again and again, becomes a force greater than complexity ever could be. You've seen it now. The illusion of more has been stripped away. The fog of busyness exposed. The distractions unmasked. You've learned that productivity isn't about motion, it's about meaning. That real progress is made in the stillness of deep focus. That results don't require superhuman effort, just non-negotiable clarity. The world won't reward you for doing less. But your results will. And as you move forward, there will always be temptation to drift. To overcomplicate. To add when you should subtract. But drift is only dangerous when you forget how to return. And now you know the way back. Return to the one thing. When the schedule fills, return. When doubt creeps in, return. When momentum slows, return. When you're overwhelmed, return. Do one thing. Not perfectly, but purely. Not all day, but deeply. Not forever, but fully. There's a reason ancient builders laid one brick at a time. A reason elite athletes practice one move repeatedly. A reason great leaders return to one mission again and again. Excellence isn't the result of endless variety. It's the fruit of unwavering focus. If the world is noise, this is your signal. You don't need more ideas. You need fewer distractions. You don't need more tools. You need fewer tabs. You don't need to be more productive. You need to be more precise. Do one thing. And do it like it matters, because it does. Let it anchor you when everything else feels unstable. Let it ground your ambition in direction, not distraction. Let it remind you that mastery is built, not found. And that your most meaningful results are waiting, not at the end of many paths, but at the depth of one. This is how super producers operate. Not with magic. With focus. Not with chaos. With clarity. Not by doing everything, but by doing one thing that truly moves the needle. And doing it again. Because simplicity doesn't fade. It compounds. So tomorrow, start again. Strip it back. Choose what matters. Then protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. Do one thing. Again. Simplicity is not a one-time decision, it's a daily discipline. Superproducers build momentum by returning to what matters, over and over. Repetition of meaningful work leads to lasting results. What is the one thing you need to recommit to, not once, but daily, to build the future you truly want? Set a recurring daily reminder asking, what's the one thing I need to do today? Answer it. Then do it. Again. Take care and be well.